So just how long does it take to obtain a mortgage? Let's talk about that. Hello and welcome to this episode of Masnyk's Mortgage Minute. I'm Rick Masnyk. So many times during the course of an initial conversation with a borrower, they'll ask, how long does the whole process take? And whether it's a purchase mortgage or a refinance, they generally take about the same length of time, which can be anywhere from 30 to 45 days. We can't see some take a little bit longer, but that's usually because the closing date on the contract is pushed out a little bit further. The seller might have kids who they want to see finish school in a certain district, could be holidays involved, any number of reasons could make that date a little bit further. But generally, the norm is 30 to 45 days. And the reason for that is while most of the work gets done prior to the borrower finding a property, when it's a purchase transaction, you're doing the application, you're collecting pay stubs, bank statements, things like that, verifying how much they can afford. Once that buyer finds a property, depending on how long it took for them to find that property, there may be some updating of those documents that needs to happen. And those documents being the pay stubs, the bank statements, maybe even the credit report. Credit reports are good for 120 days, but in a market like this where there's limited inventory, a buyer could have taken a little bit longer to find the home of their dreams. So we're going to need to update that credit report to make sure it's still valid or not expired by the time we close on the loan. So once the borrower does find a property, then the process starts, or the processing of the file starts, I should say. And that means that we're going to turn the file over to a processor. They're going to order things like a flood certificate, order the appraisal, order the title work. And the title work is where we contact a closing attorney. They'll probably sub out the work to a title search company. And that title search company is going to make sure that the property, or they're going to discover what liens are on the property. Chances are the seller might have a mortgage that needs to get paid off, but we want to make sure there are no water bills, sewer bills, any other liens on the property that our buyer would inherit. And we don't want to see that happen, because when our buyer takes possession of the property, we want to make sure the only lien on the property is the mortgage that they took out to buy it. We're also going to get the appraisal ordered. The appraiser is going to work with the listing agent to set up an appointment to come out to see the property. And while many people, especially refinanced customers, will complain, they were only here for 10 minutes. Well, they're there taking some pictures, finding out what the specifics are of the home, but there's much more work to be done after they've left the property. They're going to go to town hall, find homes of comparable size and style, and see what they sold for. And then they sit down at a computer and they do a series of checks and balances. Well, this house had a finished basement, this one didn't, so this one's going to be a little bit lower in value. And they'll keep doing things like that till they come up with their opinion of value for the subject property. And then we're also going to make sure that we're going to have all those pieces put together so that we can hand the file over to an underwriter, and they'll go in and verify all the information, make sure all the guidelines are being met for the mortgage that's being obtained, whether it's FHA, VA, conventional, and hopefully give us an approval right on the spot. Many times there's something that needs to be clarified, updated, or an explanation needs to be put into the file, and they'll ask for that. We go obtain it from whatever party, whether it's the borrower or some other entity, the closing attorney, get that in the file and give it back to the underwriter with the ultimate goal of getting what's called a clear to close. Once the clear to close is obtained, then we can turn around and issue the borrower a closing disclosure. The closing disclosure is basically giving the borrower the information that is going to tell them what their costs are going to be at the closing table, and it has to be done 3 days before closing. And that's to make sure that when the borrower gets to the closing table, there are no surprises. So when you look at all of that, you're looking at the title search, the appraisal time, the underwriting time, weekends, you're looking at about 30 to 45 days. Hopefully that information helps you. If you know someone else who could benefit from this information, please share this video with them. If you like this information, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. But for now, that concludes this episode of Masnyk's Mortgage Minute. I'm Rick Masnyk. We'll see you next time.